Hello students, we're going to go over 2.3 today, solving for a variable. So just like we have been solving equations such as, let's say 2x minus 1 equals 7. So we drew our line and we wanted to isolate, we wanted to get x by itself, so we added 1 on either side. So it cancels off, so you have 2x equals to 6. And then we divide by 2. And we get x equals to 3, we're going to go through this same process where we are isolating by doing the inverse. So instead of, we were subtracting here, so we did the opposite. So we added. Here, instead of multiplying, we divided to get rid of it. So we're going to be going through that same process there. We're just going to be looking at doing it with variables only. So they give us a formula for density. Density is equal to m over v. Well, what does m stand for? M is our mass, and V is our volume. And they say lead has a high density of 11,340 kilograms. So this is the density, okay, right there for lead. And then plastic foam has a very low density. Okay, so it gives us, for foam, we have a density of 75. So we're going to use these ones as we go through. So it says the formula for density can be rearranged to solve for V or for mass. So on a fishing sinker line is a sinker on a fishing line is made of lead and has a volume of this much. So here's our volume. So that's our V. What is the mass? So this is what we want to find. So we have the density is equal to mass over volume. We want to solve for the mass. We want to solve for that. So that's what we're trying to isolate. Well, to isolate, we see I need to get rid of this V right here, and that V is being divided, so the opposite division is multiplication. So I times that by V to cancel that out, times this by V. So our density times V equals our mass. So now we actually want to do that. So our density, remember this is lead, so it's 11,340 times it by our volume, which is right there, of 0.1231415. And so when we do this, this will give us the mass. And so going ahead and multiplying 11,340 times that by 0.15 is equal to, so this right here is our mass, is equal to 0.107. And so that would be our answer. For number 2, now it says a life preserver provides 0.02 kilograms of plastic foam to provide the proper buoyancy. What is the volume? So we want to find the volume of the plastic foam. So again, we go through, we have our D is equal to M over V. We want to solve for volume. So I want to get V by itself. Well, V is in the denominator. So to get it out of the denominator, I'm going to multiply by both sides by V first, just to get it out of the denominator. So we have V times D equals M. Now I want to isolate for V. So I want to get rid of that D by dividing. So these cancel. My volume equals my mass over my density. Well, once again, it said up here, plastic has a low density of 75 kilograms. So that's my density. So our volume equals that 75 is right there. Okay. And then it says the design for life requires 0.2 kilograms. So we go 0.2. Goes up there. And so we go 0.2 divided by 75. And so our volume would be 0.00, and we'll round 3 for that. Maybe kilograms. Kilograms cubed. So we're just rearranging to solve for these. So if I come down here and I want to solve for this equation right here, I want to solve for B. So that's what I'm trying to get rid of. So I need to get rid of 1/2. I need to get rid of 1/2, and I need to get rid of H. So to get rid of 1/2, remember we multiply by the reciprocal if we want to get rid of a fraction. So we have 2A, or 2 times H, equals B, H. We want to solve for B. They're being multiplied. So the opposite of multiplication would be division. So 2A over H equals B. Again, I always like to cancel those off. So again, we come here, we want to solve for B. So I have to get rid of this 1/2. So again, to get rid of a fraction, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. It would be 2 over 1, or we could just say 2. So that would be 2A equals H, and then A plus B. So we want to get what's rid, so we're still trying to solve for B. We want to get rid of what's in front of the parenthesis first. So that's times it by H, so we divide it. Equals A plus B. We're still trying to get B by itself, so to get rid of A, we would subtract A. And so we'd say 2 times A over H, just what you had, minus that A equals B. And that would be our answer as we look at it. So when you solve for a variable, you're not going to come to an answer that gives it to you as a specific number or anything like that. Last one, they give you the interest is equal to your principal times your rate times your time is another one. Okay, so we could, in the formula, we could solve for, so your interest is how much money you earn. Your principal is what you started off with. Your R is your interest rate, and then T is your time. So find the number of years. So that's our time. So we start with here. I is equal to P, your principal, times your rate, times your time. We want to solve for time. So we would just divide by P, because they're all being multiplied, and I divide by R. And we can do them at the same time. So my interest over my principal and my rate will give me my time. So we can cancel that off, cancel that off. So it says find the number of years using the calculation of a 1,000 loan. So that's my principal, that's my P. Of the interest rate, remember that's 5, so we got to move it over 1, 2. So that's going to be 0.05, so we got to turn the percent to a decimal. Totaling $600, that's my interest earned. Okay, so I just take the equation we just solved for. So I over your principal times your rate equals your time. And so our interest was $600 divided by our principal, which was $1,000. And we times that by our rate of 0.05. And so when you do that, so if you take 1,000 and you times that by 0.05, you're going to get 50. So you have 600 divided by 50. So then you take your 600, divide by 50, and you're going to get 12 years. Again, what that is saying is if I took $1,000, okay, with an interest rate of 5%, it would take me 12 years to get $600. Last one here, well, we'll go through the bottom one as well, but determine the interest rate. So again, if you go back up to the top, our interest rate, our interest is equal to your principal times your rate times your time. It says here, determine the interest rate. So we want to solve for R. So you're going to go ahead, to get rid of P, we would divide it, and to get rid of T, we divide it. So we're going to divide by P and T. So our interest over our principal times our time will give us our interest rate. So they determined the interest rate for a $2,000 loan. That's our principal. That's what we started off. That will be paid off in 4 years. That's T, time right there, with an interest totaling of $640. That's our I. And so we go ahead and say our interest of $640 over our principal of $2,000 times it by our time, 4 years, will give us our interest rate. So that's 640 over 4 times 2 is 8, so it'd be 8,000. And so you go ahead and do that. 640 divided by 8,000, and that gives us 0.08 for our interest rate. Or you could write that as an 8% interest rate. So in this one, we want to solve for m as we go through it. So we go ahead and say, all right, y is equal to mx plus b. So I want to get b by itself. So this is what I'm trying to get by itself. So if I notice, look at these two, okay, I can get rid of both of those by subtracting mx minus mx. So we'd say y minus mx equals b. So don't be afraid that you're not getting a number. We go through it, and a lot of these we'd get